Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are going to discuss what we leave behind. But before I start, I just want to do an activity with you all. Just imagine an object, you all. Imagine an object which carries no monetary value for you and you will not throw it away at any cost. It can be anything, an old mobile phone, an old t-shirt, or it can be an old notebook. Got it? Now, let me tell you that why you keep that particular object, why you keep that particular subject. What is the reason behind that? If you ask it yourself, the reason is very simple. Because that particular object tells some stories, and that is what we do. So do the human beings. They also leave some stories. And we do leave such stories daily. We create them, we nourish them, and we leave them for our fellows, for our families, and for our friends. When we think of stories, we think of something big. When we think that what we leave behind, we think like leaving behind something really big. For example, Alexander the Great, he conquered the world. Like if we want to leave something like that, or Graham Bell invented the telephone. So do we want to leave something like that? No. Let us deep delve something into minute details that what we leave behind in our daily routine, what we leave behind as student, what we leave behind as teacher, what we leave behind as doctor, as engineer, as cricketer. So this is what we leave behind. I'll start by sharing the stories which shaped my life so far. I graduated from UAT in mechanical engineering, and when I was in the first year, I was a student like you. You are sitting here in front of me, sitting in the rows. I was also sitting in a row somewhere. In the first year, I was not that much engaged in extracurricular activities or maybe performing low in the curricular activities. I was not even the part of our cricket team, not a football team, was not being selected into the one of the largest society in my university. So I was just sitting right there in the rows. And then there came a speaker on the stage. I attended a kind of seminar and he was my senior. He mentioned one simple line, one simple thing which changed everything I did in my university. And what did he say? If I repeat the exact statement, he states that your life is in your hands. It's you who needs to decide what you want to do, how you need to set examples, what trails you need to follow, and what things you need to leave behind when you move out from the university. And that changed everything. When I graduated from university, I was captaining my football team. I was also captaining my cricket team. I was the vice president of my same society, which I was not part in my first year. And I also represented Pakistan in ASME competition that was held in USA in 2015 and secured second position for my country. So that is we leave behind. This story, what does it tell you? It tells you small things with consistency. It tells you that you need to be honest, and it tells you that you need to extend the helping hand with others. Now I come to other story, the story of my CSS journey, the story in which I transformed from being a professional mechanical engineer to a civil servant, serving as assistant commissioner for I think it's at 3 years now. So how it started? It was in 2017, and one of my friends, he also joined me for the same journey for CSS. And I asked him very simple question, like you can ask, you are also aspirant, you can be a teacher, you can be a student. Like if you want to do something, you ask some questions that whether we can do that, whether we are capable of doing this thing, we are capable of cracking the exam. And in 2016, only 200 students qualified that exam. And CSS in Pakistan is one of the hardest exam. Every year, 20,000 or so students appear in the exam, and only 300 to 400 students make it into the final qualification, and only handful of them, nearly 200 to 300, they get allocation. That was my question to my friend, that whether the journey we are going to start, it is uncertain. It is full with challenges, a kind of uncertainty, like whether we would be able to crack the exam. He mentioned one statement. I want to repeat that statement in front of you all. He mentioned that, Usman, if only two students qualify that particular exam, it would be I and you. So that was the firm belief, that was the confidence, that was the consistency. We appeared in CSS 2018. We both qualified in our first attempt, but we were remained unfortunate. We could not get allocation in our first attempt. For many of us, for many of my fellows, it was the end. They suggested me that you wasted a lot of your time. Now it's time to get back to your engineering, start a professional career, and get settled and go abroad and anything like that. But again, here comes my friend. He insisted me that if we can do it in the first time without guidance, without any kind of support, we can do it again. So did we. We appeared again in CSS 2020. He scored 11th position. I secured 18th position. And we both are now serving as assistant commissioners in Sindh. So what does this story tell you? This story tells you something, that you need to do these small steps. You need to take decisions, how hard it is, how challenges it is, but you need to remain consistent. The second thing, it tells you that you need to be honest with your time, with yourself, with your dedication, with your consistency. And this will help you in gaining something big, in building memories, in leaving something behind. Now, coming to what I am doing as assistant commissioner, we create stories every day. Every day is a story for us. But let me share two important experiences with you all. I was in Kambar Shahdadkot district in 2022 floods, and you know that it was one of the dangerous floods, devastating, catastrophic floods in Pakistan history after 2010. What I saw there, I saw houses completely inundated with water, road network completely submerged, people displaced. There was complete chaotic situation. And what was our task? What was our duty? Is to provide relief to these needed people who needed support. And we had no idea what we could do, how we could provide that support to these people. We even were not aware of the area. But what we did, we engaged with the community, we engaged with the NGOs, and we created a kind of system in which we reached thousands of families. Road network was not available, but we used boats and we provided relief items to every one of them. And you know, they were happy. They were not happy because they got this relief. They were happy because they realized that their lives matter. There is importance of their lives for administration, for the local people, for the strangers, and that is what we leave behind. We leave behind some stories, we leave behind some legacies, and these legacies are built on these small things. How ordinary they look like, how simple they look like, but with consistency, we leave something big. Now, going to the next experience, which I see in my field as assistant commissioner, we have a kind of very history we see, and it was like a fascinating one. Just like before my talk, there was a speaker and he shared the story of fishermen. We experienced the same thing. I was posted as assistant commissioner KT Bandar. I think many of you have not heard about this name. Where is KT Bandar and where is this place? It was a coastal area at that time. It is still a coastal area. And we got the warning that a cyclone was going to hit that particular place. A cyclone of the same intensity that created havoc in back in 1998. People were caught unaware. So what was our task? Our task was simple. We need to get the people out of the danger. We need to do the evacuation. And there was one simple thing which I observed. People, they were simply refusing, that they will not leave their place. So at that time, we had to use the show of force. I accompanied rangers and army with me, and then we forcefully evacuated them. This will look very simple and ordinary for you all, but after some days, when the water came, their houses, their villages were completely submerged, and then they realized that how important it was for them to evacuate. And that is what we create. We create stories. We leave behind some efforts, some small deeds with consistency that matters and that create history. Now, summing up my talk, what we need to leave behind and how we need to ensure that we leave behind that is something substantial, that is something meaningful. And we do not want to leave behind the bank balances, the possessions we have, but we need to leave behind not for the people, but in the people. What are the three things you need to follow if you want to leave something meaningful and something impactful? The first important thing, do the small task, do the small things, and do them consistently. We have heard the story of the legend Misbah-ul Haq before my talk. What does that story tell you? He started his journey in 1998, and then he faced the greatest challenge of his life in 2007. But he did not give up. He remained consistent, and eventually he became the legend. Now his name is being used as a kind of legend of Pakistan. So that is the simple things you need to do. If you want to become a doctor and you want that your name should be remembered forever in the history, you don't need to start extraordinary to end extraordinary. You need to start by taking these small actions, but with consistency. In my example, it was, you can say, in CSS 2018, I started with no guidance. I started with a kind of uncertainty. I started with the kind of thing that how uncertain it is. I am sacrificing my profession. I am sacrificing my degree for a thing which is totally uncertain. But I did not give up. I took the decision. I took the small steps and with consistency, and eventually that paid up. The second thing which we need to take, which we need to do, you need to be honest in everything, in every decision you take daily. For example, you are a doctor, you can be a teacher. But if you are a teacher and you think that your school is far away, the weather is harsh, the conditions are not appropriate for you to go to the school, maybe the students are not well engaged with you, maybe they are not getting enough quality education, whatever the reason is. And if you think that without your presence, everything will continue going on smoothly, then you are mistaken. Maybe with your presence, with your honest actions as a teacher, someone else's lives would move on. Maybe you create a trails, you establish the students who create history, who go into different fields, become civil servants, become doctors, become engineers, and that will be your legacy. That will be your contribution, and that is what you leave behind. So in order to leave behind, we are going to establish a kind of chain. The first thing which I mentioned, doing things small with consistency, that creates these small linkages of a chain. The second thing which I mentioned, doing things honestly, this nourishes that chain. And the third thing which I am going to mention is extend the helping hand for others. In my case, in university, it was my senior who guided me, who provided me that kind of motivation and that helped me keep going. In my CSS journey, it was my friend who kept me motivated that we can do that. And in civil service, it is basically the contribution of each and everyone associated with me. In 2022 floods, why strangers are coming, why they are providing shelters to unknown, why they are opening their doors for someone whom they don't know, why they are providing relief to someone. It's not because they wanted to create a kind of legacy. It's because they wanted to extend something to others. They wanted to do small things regularly, repeatedly, consistently, and that creates history. That creates legacy. And with this, I want to end my talk that what we want to leave behind is should not be for others, but it should be in others. So that is all. Thank you very much.